calibration of it as far as steps per inch for getting our angular rotation. Yep, about a thousandth and a half on that, so that's not too terribly bad. Could be that if the vise is out of trim any at all, say if it's out 1,000, it's going to throw you off on your two surfaces here with these two surfaces, so that may contribute as well. When you start working with all these different planes, just a little dimension, just a little bit of deviation can throw you off really good ways. So taking all that into consideration, I really don't think this is too terribly bad right here for a homemade setup. Okay, so we got that second surface, third surface. This is the third surface, so we'll run around here and get this fourth surface over here. I wish I could get it back where I had it before. I could go as high as 2,000 inches per minute and the servo would still go. This servo will turn 4,000 RPM in this axis here. So I could get a lot more speed out of this gearbox if I could just use a higher feed rate. Next little thing to figure out is how I can isolate this feed rate from the rest of the feed rates as far as probing and rapids, so that the machine or the program won't pick that 2,000 inch rapid up and try to use it on any of the other axes. That's going to be a little bit of a deal there. Try to figure that out. As far as the probing routine goes, there may be something that could be changed in the probing routine for accessing a rapid. I could just say that the rapids would be limited to a certain feed rate, and that would solve that problem. But I don't know what it would do in another program. If I ran another program and there was a rapid just like the probing routine did, it may try to use that real high rapid off of the A axis. I'm not sure how that would happen, you know how that would work. If it happened, it wouldn't be a good thing, because then it would crash during the machining instead of a probing. Pick up a bad feed rate like that and it torques out your servo in a probing. It's not great, but it's not as bad as when you're cutting something and there's a lot more involved in that situation. Back on this surface again, this is the opposite side, so we're about 6,000. So we're pretty close to figuring out now which way this thing would need to go. Probably could take and push all of this from this angle here between these two surfaces and possibly square it up, but that would only be with this bore right here. So the next part I put in here may vary in a different manner, just according to how probed off of the corner and it was machined inside of this block here. So I mean, it's crazy how all of it works in relation with each other. So we'll go across this surface and see what the parallelism on it. We're sitting at about just a little over 6 thousandths there. So it moved about 2.5 thousandths on that one. So that's the worst side. And I don't know if it's got something to do with this right here. This is another mill finish side. So it could be some variation in that. Who could tell? I mean, I do believe though that the angle pretty close. Yeah, so we moved about 2 thousandths that time. So it could be I set up on two machine surfaces. If I set my angular setup on these two dimensions, these two were pretty much parallel with each other, but these two are a little out. So that would tell me that if I started on one of these surfaces and then I ended up on this surface, then my outer parallelism is about 1 thousandths there. So we're not too far off. It's not too bad for what all's going on here. All this inaccurate machining that I did, per se, in all total grandeur of just putting it together and not aligning everything perfectly, just throwing it all together just to see how it would come out. I don't think it's come out too bad. Not personally, I don't. There may be some people that probably are having a heart attack because it's this far out. For me, this is really good, because if these two surfaces are out 5 thousandths, then it only has to move 2.5 thousandths in order to pick them up concentric. Our concentricity here is about within what the chuck is rated for, which is about plus or minus 3,000. So I don't think we're too terrible here, considering all of the plus or minuses that are going on in this project here. Pretty satisfied with it as far as how it came out. The accuracy of it is not terrible, not for just throwing it together, because that's all I done. I just assembled it. I did no aligning on it or anything. I wanted to see just how close it was without tinkering on it. So I don't think I'm too bad here. There may be some issues in this part that are coming from some of the mechanics in my machine, as far as the ball screws, the couplings. Now, 2 of the couplings I have replaced. I have gotten rid of. I had spiral couplings on all 3 axes, and there was quite a bit of run out in those. They're not that wonderful, but one of the axes I had a plumb coupling on. These are pretty common. A lot of people use them. That's what I went to when the spiral couplings, I was told they were not that great, but these were a little better. So I think they call these also, they call them spider couplings. These things, when you buy them, you can barely get them apart. I mean, you have to really work to get them apart. And this thing just pops right apart now, and you can see on the inside here how black that is. Where it, of course, now I shot some oil in it because it wanted to click real bad. So I just dropped a little bit of oil in there, and it wipes off, but you could tell that it was working on these surfaces here. That's where the black is coming from, the aluminum. These things, normally these things, when you take them apart, if you could get them apart, they don't normally come apart that easy. No way they come apart that easy. And going back together is just as much of a job to put them back together as it is to take them apart when they're new. So this thing here, I'm almost positive that it has some issues with it. So I'm running a different style coupling now. These couplings are what they call, this particular style coupling is what they call a double diaphragm coupling. Now this is, you can see the difference in size here. Now I had this on my Z axis. Now I have one of these on my Z axis. So we have stepped up quite tremendously here with this, and these things, they're nice. They don't make any noise at all. There's no loss at all with these things. I also have one on my X axis, and I can tell a big difference in the way the machine sounds, and I can't wait to change the one on the Y. I had to order one that was smaller here because on these conversion parts, the Y axis, this is the Y axis servo mount here, and you can see it's 2-inch tubing. That's not going to go in that hole, and it also, it doesn't fit very well in there either. I had to order a smaller size of this so that it would fit inside this tubing here. I'm waiting for that to come. Couldn't find one in the United States. Of course it has to come from China, so we'll wait until that comes from across the pond, and then we'll see how much better it makes my Y-axis perform. With that spiral coupling in there, it's causing some issues. Those things flex pretty good, and it's almost like they pulse. Your axis kind of pulses along. So I think, I can't wait to change it, see what happens. I think it's going to be a whole lot better than it is now. So with all that being said, I think we're pretty close to getting this thing to do some machining with this 4th axis here. Pretty satisfied with the angular calibration on it. We'll go back around here and get it back in the beginning position. There's a lot I don't know about this right now. I tried to use a post in Fusion 360 to write the code for the rotation of the axis, but it didn't work. So I've got to figure out that part of it as well. See what we got here, just out of curiosity. See how close this made a full trip around, and we'll see how close it come out to being where it's supposed to be. And we look like we're pretty close to being dead on right there after a full rotation. See what it does go across there. Yep, that might be 1/4 of a thousandth. Maybe. These things, these gauges, they're not all that accurate. But that's what it's showing, about 1/4 of a thousandth. That's about 2.5 tenths. That's not too bad for a full trip around, considering these servos have a low, what's considered to be a low resolution encoder in them. I think they're pretty decent for what I'm using them for what I'm doing with them. I know a buddy of mine is messing around with the DMM servos. I think the resolution is over 65,000 pulses per revolution on those. I think that's 5 times what these are, so I'm sure there's some accuracy issues with that as well. So 2 tenths, if I'm not completely and totally wrong, I remember seeing 2 tenths somewhere in the specifications for these servos, and I do believe it was the angular accuracy of these is within 2 tenths, I believe. So that may be where our 2 tenths was coming off. For a full rotation, we may be picking up that 2 tenths in there, so that could be what it is. So they're pretty good. I think it's pretty good for me. It's good enough for me. So now if I can get my parts to be a little more concentric by changing these couplings out, because these parts were machined before I have had all of the couplings changed out. So hopefully all this stuff will be a little better as we go along. But for right now, for just throwing this thing together, I think it's pretty good, I think, because if we're only off 2.5 thousandths here and the chuck is 3 thousandths out, I mean, that's your 5 thousandths right there. So it's not hard to pick up another thou or two for the rest of what it was off on the one plane. So I think we're pretty good. I'm satisfied with it. I think it'll do okay for me. So okay guys, I figured I'd share with you on this, see what we can do about doing some machining with it. If I can figure out the post, or I may just have to do it old school and throw a little strip of code in there to rotate the A-axis, see how that works out, and do some machining with it. Okay, thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you like, and we'll catch you next time.